Hola, minasan! Welcome back for another round of Kaiju, number 8. Oh yeah, the Kaiju are in the middle of an invasion. Oshina is having an epic fight, and it's turning for the worse because the Kaiju he's up against is turning into a giant cream puff and getting bigger and bigger pustules and pus. So, will he survive? We don't know. What's gonna happen? We will find out. So, let's not waste any time and let's get reading. Kaiju number 8 by Naoya Matsumoto, chapter 28. The kaiju's grown into a very giant pus and pustule, groovling, gobbling, and popping and crashing into windows and knocking over telephone poles. And Hoshina is sitting there, not sure what to do, what move to make, what it's going to do. And Koshinogi Okinogi screams out, "Don't tell me it's..." And that's when Kafka's kaiju sense tingled. He gripped his head, almost as if he had a headache. Caught the attention of Minase. "Mr. Himeno?" she said, as everybody watched him. And he looked up into the air and thought to himself, "What the hell? My detection ability activated, but I'm not even transformed." And he looked down the distance and realized, the vice captain. And everyone watched on as the kaiju grew as big as the buildings, his head nearly reaching the moon, drones spinning around, getting pictures. And Hoshina realized what had happened. "It's turned into a giant testicle. Oh my gosh. Someone's gonna have to do something about that. Looks like this tumor is gonna blow. The position of its core shifted. I wasn't able to fully destroy it. That's my failure. Now I'm gonna have to do something about this dishonor." And mouths started popping open at each end of the pus, and let out a burst of steam in multiple directions, burning through the buildings and anybody who's standing in its path. Hoshina immediately put the mask on and jumped into the air, thinking to himself, "It's a super high temperature steam. I thought for a minute that was some sperm, but dragging it into the grounds, oh man, that was the right call. Those people have been dying left and right and being covered in sticky white stuff. Earth's fortitude is climbing with the discharge of heat." Okinogi screamed out from the intercom as it started stretching out limbs one by one, and it opened its mouth and the core became even larger. "No," she said. "Fortitude 9.0. The kaiju screamed out, causing glass to shatter within a 1 mile radius and rattled the earth like an earthquake. "But that means the vice captain can't handle this kaiju by himself," Okinogi said as Hoshina stared up at its crotch, at its flat beaming crotch. It threw a punch right at him and completely shattered the ground into dust, and the shockwave spread across, causing buildings nearby to collapse. Hoshin at near sane level speed ran up its arms and headed straight for the face. "A number 3, son. A return slasher," he said as he delivered 3 slices across the neck, hoping to behead the whole thing, but it had no effect. The kaiju pulled off a JoJo's Ora attack as Hoshina jumped, dodged, and flipped all over the place. "Oh yeah, Piccolo's training is coming through once again. Incredible!" Okinogi thought to herself. "He's adapting to its change in size." But, and suddenly a slit opened wide. And Hoshina realized what's happening. "The blade's not coming all the way through. How am I supposed to get rid of this tumor? This is why giant class kaiju suck. They suck balls." And he continued running across and thought to himself, "Gotta up my attack to break through to the core on its back. It's the only way I'll..." Huh? And that's when suddenly veins bulged out of his skin and he dropped to the ground. He coughed and blood splurted. His nose dripped of blood, cold, warm red blood. And that's when he noticed his stats. It's an overheat, Okanogi pointed out as Hoshina stared at the timer, the cooldown timer, sitting floating before him. It's already been 10 minutes since maximum release. Maintaining that state any longer is dangerous. The crew informed the vice captain as he suddenly jumped to the side, dodging a whole punch that completely toppled the entire building. So I'm down to 1 minute at best, huh? This is some Evangelion level stuff. Where's my umbilical cord when you need one? And suddenly the giant kaiju flicked his hands out and summoned the other kaiju to dive at him. Yoju! Oh great, he just sent his balls after me. Meanwhile, the kaiju threw a punch, and the shockwave affected the Yoju as it screamed out loud. And it created an explosion like no other. Hoshina noticed and immediately shielded himself. It's self-destructed! Okanogi screamed out as they watched as they watched on this view screen. As Hoshina withstood the blast, he thought to himself, "This kind of cold-blooded attack I'd expect from a kaiju, it pretty much turned them into living missiles. I'm gonna have to go full-on American here and stop this communist BS from happening. But hey, it makes for a mighty fine smokescreen." And Hoshina jumped right on the top of the building and crouched like Spider-Man. More blood poured out of his nose as his eyes became focused, like a murderous killer. "Number 6," he said, as Okanogi screamed out, "You made it in time!" And he jumped right to the kaiju's back, but multiple slits opened up and every dang eye all shifted into his direction. And caught Hoshina off guard as a fist come flying right at him, ready to turn him into paste. And the punch was successful. It completely destroyed a whole set of buildings behind Hoshina and sent him flying through the air. Okanogi covered her mouth in shock as the giant kaiju took a Mike Tyson fighting pose, ready to throw some more punches. And as debris completely collapsed all over the place, it revealed Hoshina stuck inside a crater, completely laid out. "Overheat, maximum release deactivated. Vice Captain!" To be continued. Kaiju number 8 by Naoya Matsumoto. Kaiju number 8 by Naoya Matsumoto, chapter 29. Hoshina found himself standing in the middle of a dojo, wearing a karate gi. He listened to his sensei, sitting before him, explain to him his situation. "You give up on joining defense sources. If this were the Edo period, you'd be lauded as a prodigy," he said. But the era blade is long over. Try to understand, Soshiro." And Vice Captain suddenly got to his senses and realized he was punched into a flashback by the giant kaiju. "Vice Captain!" Okanogi screamed out. "Vice Captain! Vice Captain! Okanogi!" he said as he woke up and got to his feet. "Don't worry, I'm still kicking it. I'm about to go full Texan on this fool." He struggled to get up and collapsed onto his knee as he reached for his sword. Okanogi shed tears, not wanting to see him die. "Yeah, even with the shield cranked up to the max, that kaiju's no freaking joke. I'm surprised that my body is still moving around. I should have been jelly, but anyway. My max release is deactivated too? That's fine. Tell me what the status on the outside is." All civilians will be evacuated soon," Okanogi answered. "The troops are finally making progress, fending off the Yoju as well." "I see," the vice captain says. He walked toward the giant kaiju. "Well, that's a relief. Well, I better hop to it. I got surgery to do. This giant testicle is about to be declipped and vasectomed. I got a job to do, and I intend to finish it." "But sir, you're in no condition to fight any longer." And suddenly another punch was delivered by the giant kaiju. However, Hoshina immediately dodged and flew right towards its open mouth. Hoshina style sword slay technique number one, and immediately flicked his sword, slicing across its chest. He was able to dodge the next attack as it collapsed more buildings, and Kaiju looked in his direction and said,
I've got you figured out. Those blades won't beat me.
"Oh, shut your friggin' mouth, you testicle. I've known that for a little while now," yeah, Oshina said as he continued running along the side of the building as he got hit as he got struck by another flashback. "Give up, Shoshiro. Your unleashed combat power for marksman weaponry is low. That slippery will not do in the modern area. I suggest you give up, Hoshina. Kaiju in recent years are trending toward giant class. You're bound to get killed using blades alone. I'm telling you, son. This is for your own good. Forget ballet on the field and apply your sword slaying techniques as an instructor." Yes. It frustrated Hoshina to his core, listening to two grown men telling him he can't succeed, he can't accomplish anything, that he's total weak sauce. He was so angry. He screamed out loud, "I've been hearing that crap since I was a kid. I know how to handle an AK-47. It's just a little too dang heavy. But she told me something different." And that's when he heard her voice in his mind.
So should a Hoshina. I hear that you're the blade specialist.
It was Mina, with very short hair at the time, reading his report. "Yes, that's correct, ma'am. Oh boy, here comes the Samo line. Just give up. Oh boy."
I need your abilities.
She turned around and stretched out her hand as the sun's shine spotlighted over her like a wonderful angel.
Will you join my force, Hoshina?
"Oh."
We cannot overlook the possibility of a powerful miniature-sized threats cropping up down the line also. I'm totally inept with bladed weaponry, unlike yourself.
She leaned very close to his face.
I try not to handle a kitchen knife if I can help it. And when I need to shoot a threat, can I trust that you'll clear a path for me?
"That's right. I gotta clear this path for her very fast. She left me in charge of this base, and I'm failing big time," he said to himself as he ran along the wall like Spider-Man, and the giant tail swung at him. He was able to dodge it while maintaining the grip on his blades, but the shockwaves froze him in place. "I'll defend this place to the end. I swear, I'm gonna cut that tail off and ram it up your eyes. Number 2, cross slasher," and and pair of X's formed over the Kaiju's tail, but nothing happened. "Number 3, return slasher. Number 4, wild slasher. Dang it, give me number 5, miss slasher. How many more slashers do I gotta do? Number 6," and too late. "Oh, dang it, I got caught."
Aha! You got caught.
Dang it. That's right. The Kaiju got a firm grip on Hoshina and squeezed him to force blood out of his mouth and poured down his cheeks. Okanogi screamed as she saw it from the drone cameras, and Kafka and his slow-mo body is just witnessed what had happened to Hoshina. "The vice captain." And he remembered Reno's warning, "Don't do anything reckless out there." He closed his eyes, trying to shake off what Ichikawa said, and he opened his eyes slowly, knowing what he has to do. "Ichikawa," he said over the intercom, "I'm sorry." "Huh? You don't mean, don't. If you transform you, then there'll really be no escape." And as Kafka transformed and lightning, electricity formed over him, while the drones were all watching from above, he said to Reno, "Every life on the squad is worth saving." And that's when Hoshina screamed out, "Good job holding things down, everyone. It was a pleasure working for all of you." Everybody's frozen place as they listened to him in the intercom. that voice, it's... Hey, Kaiju? And the Kaiju stared right at him. I got your balls. And that's when a giant explosion happened.
Good job of holding things down, everyone.
And the Kaiju immediately screamed, "Ah!" A giant gaping hole burst from its side, and its whole arm dropped to the ground. The pain caused the Kaiju to lose grip as Kafka watched in horror as Hoshina falls down. I'm the vice captain of this base, son, and you've just been surgically vasectomied. Passing baton to her is my job. And there was Mina pulling back on the lever, and a whole cartridge popped out.
Okanogi, a pretty unique request due to the emergency.
And as Okanogi wiped her tears, she complied. Yes, Mom. And with her tiger by her side, Mina was ready to unleash her most awesome beaming gun.
I'm a blasting this thing away. Unleash your maximum combat power of 96%.
Kaiju number 8 to be continued. Kaiju number 8 by Naoya Matsumoto. Too epic. Kaiju number 8 by Naoya Matsumoto, chapter 30.
I'm a blasting this thing away,
Mina said as she braced herself and leaned onto her tiger, ready to fire. Everybody was surprised at hearing her voice in the intercom.
Captain Ashiro.
Mina! Everyone screamed out her name as she unleashed another full blast, and her tiger immediately pushed into her to keep her from flying away from the kickback. The blast approached the Kaiju and shot off its shoulder as it tried to dodge the attack while regenerating at the same time. What remained of its right arm, it flung itself at the Oju and caused the Oju to explode like a bomb. Mina and her tiger chopped away as the intercom spoke. Captain, the core seems to be located on his back around the 4th to 6th thoracic vertebrae.
Roger, a Paco.
And her tiger immediately skid to the side, leaned into her, and held her as a brace with full force as she unleashed another cartridge and burst its belly open. You predicted the trajectory of the shot, Okanogi said as she watched the Kaiju sidestep like a King of Fighters character. Its regeneration is speeding up as well. Yeah, it figures, Oshina said as he struggled to get up to his feet. Well, guess it's time for one final push. Is everybody ready to do some vasectomies? Who needs some? Better yet, let's just cut the whole thing off. Unleash combat power 63%. Number 4, Wild Slasher. And Oshina flew at super speed and flew right past the Kaiju's leg and sliced it down. I'll cut down its mobility. Where's its Achilles heel? Wild Slasher to create an opening. And suddenly a giant foot comes flying right down at him. And just as it hit the ground and created another crater, Oshina had successfully jumped away. This is absurd, sir, Okanogi said. Your suit is already well past its limit. But the regeneration continued on. Dang it, it's regenerating. This freaking tumor gotta go. I'm not outputting enough. What do I do now? And that's when Kikoru jumped right up out of nowhere. Shinomiya! And she screamed out,
What a skimmer!
and completely sliced the leg.
Damn it, at my current level. I can't even put a scratch on it.
Never mind that. Just keep at it, Shinomiya. We're gonna have to slice and dice this whole thing until there's nothing left but a freaking rib. I'll cut the shell open. You chop them to it.
Roger.
And they both screamed out, "Yeah!" as they delivered slices one after another at the legs, causing it to trip and collapse onto itself. It was losing its balance. Uh, and Kikaru smiled. That rocked. But she suddenly felt a shock in the system and dropped to her knees. Oh, great. It's an overheat. You've done enough work, child. Good job. Number 6, he screamed out as he sliced as he flicked his swords in an X formation and sliced right through the leg. It was just enough to make it collapse into pieces and drop the kaiju to one knee. Don't give him time to regenerate. All I need is 5 more seconds. Just 5 more seconds. So come on, body. Work with me. I drank enough milk this morning. It's supposed to do my body good. and he remembered what Mina said years ago.
When I need to shoot a threat, can I trust that you clear a path for me?
That's right. I got to cut. I got to cut and cut you down. Dang it. Got to cut and clear a path. That's the only thing that proves I exist. Or else I'm just a loser like everybody telling me to. And I ain't no Texas loser here. Another explosion occurred from Mina's strike and opened up the whole entire back, exposing the spine and the core. The core is exposed! Okanogi screamed out.
One magazine remaining.
And she immediately changed cartridges. And with Bako holding her up, she aimed one more time.
Thank you, Hoshina. I'm truly glad I picked you as my Thassa captain.
And she was veiled in sparks of electricity as she charged up the entire gun.
Now it's the time for me to shoot the threat.
That's the captain of the base. I told you earlier, didn't I, Kaiju? You picked the wrong customers to scrap with. And just as it was about to strike, Mina's blast ripped its guts wide open and left its head dangling at the side of the neck. To be continued. Kaiju number 8 by Naoya Matsumoto. Another fine set of combat chapters here. Completely dedicated to Hoshina. It's really cool. The artwork was very spectacular. The action was well paced and everything. It's a pretty good job. And really it was very exciting and very well executed because Hoshina has to deal with this kaiju growing very, very big, and again we get a good sense of scale and everything, in relation to the giant. To its giant size. Kaiju senses were tingling for Kafka, and he ran off because now he's about to make the ultimate sacrifice. But this was actually nicely drawn because you can see like the cracks in the building. You can see that it took a lot of damage with the moon and everything. It's very nice. This moved pretty fast. This was a very fast fight, and this is actually a really nice. Nice display here of just how much the whole thing escalated, because this is like Ultraman levels, like how you say, Power Rangers. What was her name? Rita Repulsa threw the staff down, made the monster grow, that kind of stuff. This whole entire manga really plays into all of that with the kaiju. It doesn't just stick with just one giant monster at a time. Like, it really gives you the whole kit and caboodle. From years of this kaiju genre here. It's pretty cool, and it's very well detailed and everything. Very, very, very intimidating look to it, and I like the fact that it's showing the shock waves from its roar, which should have technically busted his ears, because it should have been that loud. If it was loud enough to shake everything, it should have busted his ears. Just because his body's protected from the suit doesn't mean his ears are protected from the whole thing. But the artwork for the large part has been very good. they get more and more clever too, like turning the yoju, the flying yoju, into bombs and make them go boom. You know. Also, we find out that if you push too hard on the suit, it'll start to overheat, and time is of the essence. It'll take time before it could release again. So Hoshina is basically pushing, really pushing to the limits, because he's fighting a giant kaiju on his own when he shouldn't be. And sadly enough, we get his backstory after he gets punched into oblivion, where he ends up remembering his sensei and one of the top how you say, one of the top brass, tell him that he's useless. And this is actually great because that ties into Kafka, when what we saw at the very beginning of the series, when he was struggling and he was power suit zero, and he was laughing at him, but because Kafka was being silly, but he also understood that what Kafka was going through, because Kafka really was pushing very, very hard, to be to be a member of this group, to be a member of this team, and he sees that Mina definitely looked out for Hoshina. So Hoshina, did the same for Kafka. Especially since Kafka provided other elements that actually was more assistant. For example, the fact that he can dissect the kaiju and find the parts, the weaknesses and such, valuable information, especially when on the fly. Because nobody would have survived any of those kaiju attacks if not for Kafka pointing out where the weaknesses is, warning that they were breeding baby Yojus, and so on. And here we get to see why Hoshina took a liking to Kafka the way he did, and that's because these two idiots here decided to tell him he's nothing. Decided to tell him that he's nothing, And we see that Mina, also has a similar issue. She can't use blades, so that's even more amazing. She can't use blades in a proficiently like Hoshina can, and Hoshina can't fire a gun proficiently like she can. And they both basically fed off of each other, and basically it is why the two of them are such a nasty duel, because he goes in there and he'll slow them down long enough that Hoshina can be able to get in position and deliver the final blow. And it makes perfect sense when you think about it, because she's carrying a giant major cannon. It's extremely heavy, and it has a kickback like no other. Her own tiger has to prop her up if she's not displaying any output. She'll shatter into a million pieces. And that weapon is the kill shot. It's needed. It's absolutely needed. But that means that the kaiju has to be stalled or lured around, manipulated to stay in place, and that's what Hoshina provides. And that's actually a very nice, very well designed, balancing team dynamic on the part of Matsumoto-san. It's really, really excellent to put that on display there. And we basically continue watching Hoshina, because Kafka is almost there. As we can see here, he's almost there. Hoshina gets caught. He gets caught and gets crushed, and he's about to die for good. But thankfully Mina shows up. This is a very nice panel there. Very good panel. But nevertheless, Mina shows up and delivers a big giant gaping hole as usual, and now is out to save the day. But Hoshina, what's great about Hoshina is that he understands himself. Like, he's not doing all that to show off or to prove that he's big. He was just buying time and keeping the kaiju from moving, from going to another area, and giving Mina an easy target to hit, because it got taller at this point. And that's actually really good because it really shows Hoshina's point regarding Kafka. Again, Kafka is not super strong, he's not super powerful, but he can be on the field in real time, providing information on the kaiju and where its weak points are in that. Meanwhile, you got someone like Hikaru, snickering and laughing at him for not being super strong. Oh, you're not super strong. You're not super powerful. You're not hardcore. But you know what? If it wasn't for that knowledge, she wouldn't have beaten any of that kaiju. She would have been struggling just like Hoshina is, and probably gotten killed in the end. You know. So I like how this is done story wise. You know what I'm saying? It's such a refreshing feel to it when you think about it, because especially when it comes to shonen, you always get those group. Perfect example, Midoriya and My Hero Academia. Everybody's crapping all over him, except for Ochako. But everybody's looking at him like pulling their pants down and crapping all over him. Like, why? You know what I'm saying? And don't give me this kids are crap talk. It's bad writing. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's not good writing. You know, it's not good writing when you have like practically 90% all looking at him like, meh. You know what I'm saying? And Bakugo in the outset, is the worst out of all of them. Good redemption arc, really. Cool arc he got. He's got a cool arc. Bakugo has a good arc. But in the outset, the very beginning, yeah, at some point you gotta stop punching down on your main character and you know what I mean. And yeah, My Hero Academia over time, everybody appreciated it and everything. But it's just very annoying when you have everybody just dogpiling on your main shonen protagonist, and it's like, why? You don't need all of that to raise up the shonen protagonist to get him to say, "I will do it. I am determined." You know what I'm saying? To sit there and be like, I am determined, just to have him say I'm determined. He's already determined from the outset. He didn't need a dog. Main characters don't need dogpiling when they're already set on improving themselves. You know what I mean? When they're already set to improving themselves. You know what I'm saying? It's it could get very annoying with some of these with some of them coming of age shonen stories and such. I know this is not shonen, this is seinen, but what I'm saying is that here is freshing because we're not getting the same old tired tropes. You know what I'm saying? Everybody fell in love with Kafka. Like well, I wouldn't say fell in love with Kafka. They still see, they still snicker at him for being, slow and powerless and so on. But the thing is that, they get it. What he brings to the table to them is extremely valuable to them. And you know what I'm saying? And they got Hoshina's point. They got Hoshina's point, and they got past all that. But doesn't mean that they're not gonna criticize him for not, getting his power level up or anything. It'll just be constructive criticism. It won't be dogpiling, pants down, crap all over the protagonist. They'll just sit there and be like, "Come on, dude, come on." They'll either help him like Reno does, or they'll be like, you know what I'm saying. And at this point, Kikuro's just teasing him, just poking at him at this point. She's not legitimately, sitting there and acting like Asuka and Asuka does to Shinji and be like, yeah, pull the pants down and crap. I know I'm using that metaphor a lot, but you get what I'm saying. Sometimes the trope gets tiring with this with that type of shonen. With that type of storytelling in general. You know what I'm saying? The character is already putting in the effort. Why do you need to continue crapping all over them? But yeah, that's pretty much it. Kikuru shows up, and again, the limitations of the suit shows up because now she's overheating, so it stays consistent because she's been doing that with that axe all throughout the fight and everything. So the consistency is good. The story's consistency is good, and Mina, deliver some of the most crazy shots and everything, and we end with the most gaping hole possible. Looks like they won, or did they? we'll find out. We'll find out. So, comment, like, subscribe, follow. You know you want to. And head on over to Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com and grab yourself a copy of The Impossible Man, strange fantasy novel written by me. You'll find links down in the description below. Be sure to get yourself a copy and make yourself a YouTube video out of that book if you love doing lore videos and character deep dives. And you'll find links, more links to other merch such as pins, stickers, t-shirts, music. Please enjoy the products. Thank you for your patronage. And if you're interested, you could join me on my live multi-stream on Twitch and Kick every Monday through Thursday, 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, until the next set of chapters, thank you all for joining me, and I wish you all a good night. Buenas noches, and oyasumi nasai.